Howdy, San Antonio. San Antonio Family Association. It's come to my attention that our video got cut off from earlier, and I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to visit. Give me 1 second here. Hello, Betty Eckert. Again, my name is Patrick Mondell with San Antonio Family Association. And as I just said, it's come to my attention that our video got cut off from earlier. So I wanted to come out and share with you again how Proposition A breaks the Ten Commandments. We have a moral obligation tomorrow to get out and vote. Not only do we have a constitutional right to vote, we have a divine right to vote, and therefore a moral obligation to vote, and vote a rightly formed conscience. So this is to help form your conscience. So on behalf of the San Antonio Family Association, this is a gift tonight on this Friday evening to help you come to a greater understanding of the bad things of Proposition A. Proposition A was first put forth as, quote, the justice policy, put forth by Act for SA. Act for SA and other organizations were behind the Proposition B on 2021 to defund the police. Now they found a different way to defund the police indirectly. That's bad enough on a prudential judgment decision. What's worse is it's immoral, it's unjust, and the people of San Antonio and families have a right to know what's truly behind this and how it impacts them. So if you're a person of faith who was upset in 2020 and 2021 when the mayor issued his emergency disaster declaration for the city of San Antonio and closed down all houses of worship, yet Planned Parenthood South Texas, the abortion facility, and liquor stores could stay open as, quote, essential businesses. But your houses of worship were not essential businesses. What a travesty that was. I don't want to make the point to help you understand that this is the same mayor that's responsible for Proposition A being on the May 6th ballot, the ballot election tomorrow. Proposition A, formerly known as the, quote, justice policy, is all about injustice to the individual, to the family, to public safety. So let's talk about how does Proposition A relate to the Ten Commandments? Well, I wholeheartedly contend that Proposition A breaks the Ten Commandments. It breaks 5 of the commandments directly and 5 of the commandments indirectly. So let's talk about that. What are the commandments Proposition A breaks? So following the book of Exodus, chapter 20, the 7th commandment is thou shalt not steal. In Proposition A, a person can steal up to $750 per person per incident. So, like I have a daughter who just started working at a restaurant. Many young people's first jobs are at restaurants. My daughter's first job is at a restaurant. If they have a good night and have tips, they have $100 or a couple $100 in their pocket coming home from work, and they're stopped in the parking lot, which they're already concerned about, this increases the potential threat to them. And another person takes their $200 of tips. There's nothing that's going to be done about that. They can call the police. By the time the police get there, that person might or might not be there, the perpetrator. If the perpetrator's still there, they can lie. So Proposition A, because theft is decriminalized up to $750 per person per incident, breaks the seventh commandment, thou shalt not steal. The next commandment, eighth commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not lie is another way to look at it. In Proposition A, Texas driver's license are no longer required. A person can create their own business card, their own form of identification, and police have to accept it as if it's correct and accurate and authentic. Yet we all know people have fake identifications for all sorts of things. Now they can have a business card of fake identity and lie to police and tell them they're someone they're not. That breaks the eighth commandment. The 10th commandment, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. Again, according to Exodus chapter 20, if someone wants what you have and they can't get it, they can vandalize it. Up to $2,500 per person per incident. They can vandalize your house, your car, your church, your house of worship, your synagogue. Whatever belongs to someone else, they can vandalize it up to $2,500 per person per incident and get away with it. They might be cited, but they'll be released. That's if they don't lie about who they are. The 5th commandment, thou shalt not kill. Exodus chapter 20, verse 13. Proposition A decriminalizes abortion. It's a state matter, state law, because of Dobbs' decision from the United States Supreme Court that made regulation of abortion to the states. And Texas has a pro-life trigger law. Thanks be to God. Women and children deserve to be protected at all costs. They sold this whole measure based on two things: appealing to women for reproductive health care access, which is abortion business. Great money for Planned Parenthood South Texas. And two, for marijuana, drug use. Because that's the other thing it does, is it decriminalizes marijuana possession up to 4 ounces. What I'm told, that's the level of a dealer. Think of a quarter pounder from McDonald's, a hamburger, or a number 1 from Whataburger. That's a quarter pounder as well. That has pretty good significant weight to it. That's a lot of marijuana. The 5th commandment that directly is broken by Proposition A is the 1st commandment. I am the Lord your God, you have no other gods besides me. The other thing that Proposition A does is creates a justice director position, equivalent to the authority of a city manager. City manager runs the city of San Antonio. This justice director would be a diversionary tactic, because that justice director will be deciding what happens to all the people who are cited and released, the ones who are. They're mandated by Proposition A to confer with the stakeholders. In this case, the stakeholders are defined by the people, the very people who got Proposition A on the ballot. Act for SA, Texas Organizing Project, and so on. The stakeholders are not the citizens, which they should be. And the other thing that goes along with creating a new position is that justice director is going to have lots of help. They're going to create a whole city division for this justice director, lots of new employees that'll grow the size and scope of government to an enormous, even larger size. How does that break the 1st commandment? Well, because the city of San Antonio, ever since Mayor Julian Castro was elected in 2011, has been doing everything they can to try to remove God from government. They're doing it more and more every year, every day. We saw that in the pandemic, where they closed down houses of worship, denied people access to pray in a time where the need for people to be united to God was greater than ever, as people were scared through the COVID pandemic. Now we have a situation where the city of San Antonio government is not only trying to push God out of government and separate us, take him out. Who's going to replace God if God's removed from government? Government becomes your new God. And in this case, government gets to grow and is fed and grows and grows. So here we have a situation where the ideological left have matched again and come together with the socialists. Socialism and communism are contrary to Christianity and Judaism. They're antithetical to the teachings of Jesus Christ. Socialism and communism look at people with disregard, and they look only at the community overall, ignoring the needs of the individual. At the heart, that's what's wrong with socialism and communism. The other is they become your God. They will deny the existence of God so that you depend on the government. And in this case, the Justice Director will have all the authority, much authority, to redirect public safety funds and to grow that department, that new department that will be established. The same department that's been established in San Francisco, New York City, New Orleans, Portland, Chicago, you name it. Do we want San Antonio to become like San Francisco? I don't think we do. I don't think most people do. So let's make sure with your vote tomorrow that those 5 commandments are not directly facilitated and broken. Again, what happens when crime is committed? Crime fosters more crime. Sin fosters more sin. Bad decisions foster more bad decision. Vice fosters more vice. Vice is a bad habit. We need to encourage good habits. Government has a duty and an obligation to do what's right for do what's right and good for the individual and for the community. Not skipping one or the other. It has to be the good for the individual and the good for the community both. This is a moral imperative for all elected officials. They're duty bound not only by the Constitution of the United States of America and Texas, but also in the order of law that God has established for the good of all people and for long-term domestic prosperity. Because without marriage and the family, without life, marriage and the family, there's no future domestic prosperity. There has to be a balance. We have to live in the moment, at the same time keep an eye on the horizon. So as crime fosters more crime and sin fosters more sin, vice fosters more vice, what happens if you break those 5 commandments? The other 5 are going to be broken. What are the other 5 that are going to be broken? Well, the second commandment, according to Exodus chapter 20, is, thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain. The third commandment, thou shalt honor the Sabbath day. The fourth commandment, thou shalt honor thy father and mother, so you may have a long life in the land of the living. We all want to have a long life in the land of the living. We need to do that and protect our older Americans. This is Older Americans Month. This is a decision you can look at and say, my vote here will help defend and protect older Americans or any vulnerable person, born and preborn. The 6th commandment, thou shalt not commit adultery. Do you think the use of drugs and the decriminalization of abortion won't impact people's thought on adultery? Sexual intercourse outside of marriage? That's not good for anyone. It brings about perversion, depravity, and promiscuity. It's unhealthy. Creates addictions. The 9th commandment, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. That goes right along with the 6th commandment. What's to stop someone from thinking they shouldn't have your spouse if they can have everything else? This creates, Proposition A, if passed, will create us a whole culture of lawlessness, chaos, mayhem. It's incredible to think that this is even on the ballot. And yes, our current incumbents, mayor and city council, many of them have come and crossed and flip-flopped and now come out against Proposition A due to political pressure. But the fact of the matter is they're responsible for Proposition A being on the ballot to begin with. On February 16, 2023, they voted to put the justice policy as Proposition A on the ballot. They violated the Constitution, Texas statute, eternal law, natural law, to do so. 3 of those city councilmen walked out on the vote and failed to even represent their constituents at all. They did it under the guise of their attorney telling them they couldn't participate in that vote because it was unconstitutional. Well, if it's unconstitutional, you should have voted no. So the mayor and council who were there, who all participated, whether they voted yes, put it on the ballot, or they walked out, they're all directly responsible for Proposition A being on the ballot. It's time for all of them to go. We need new leadership and service through new public servants in the city of San Antonio. We need a new mayor and we need a new city council for all 10 districts. All of them will be on the ballot tomorrow. Saturday, May 6th, 2023, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So, just to recap, Proposition A breaks the 7th, the 8th, the 10th, the 1st, and the 5th commandment directly. Why do I say them like that? Because it's not in order? I say them like that because the reality is what they're really trying to do is decriminalize theft and decriminalize vandalism. And they're using the ploy of decriminalizing abortion and decriminalizing drug use to sell it. This is an attempt to fundamentally transform our society. Don't fall for it. It's propaganda. It's virtue signaling. It's vice-ridden. It's not filled with virtue. So in breaking those commandments, it will also indirectly and consequently, inadvertently break the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 9th commandments. So Proposition A breaks all 10 commandments. So all you God-fearing, God-believing, God-loving people and other people of goodwill in the city of San Antonio, you have a moral obligation as a citizen of the United States of America and Texas to exercise your constitutional right and your moral obligation to get out and vote, first and foremost. Number 2, vote against Proposition A and defend your family, defend your spouse, defend your children. Number 3, vote out the incumbent mayor as he participated in this lawlessness and promoting mayhem and chaos to grow government. We need new leadership as mayor. Number 4, vote out all the incumbent councilmen running for re-election. They are also directly responsible for Proposition A being on the ballot. It is incumbent upon us as Christians, as God-fearing and God-loving people, to get out and vote tomorrow and take 12 people with us. Family, friends, neighbors, anybody else you know. Take it upon yourself to get 12 people out. We have to defeat Proposition A for the very defense of our families, our community, the city of St. Anthony. The city of St. Anthony is and was established on June 13, 1691, the feast day of St. Anthony. That's how San Antonio got its name. The seed of faith was planted right here on the banks of the San Antonio River. That seed of faith germinated into a municipality that we just celebrated on May 1st, the 305th anniversary of the city of San Antonio, the municipal incorporation date. So happy 305th year of the city of San Antonio. Let's preserve the city of San Antonio and keep it from being fundamentally transformed into something we don't recognize, something that becomes like modern-day San Francisco. Modern-day San Francisco, modern-day Chicago, modern-day New York City, modern-day Portland. We can't afford it. We don't want it. We're Family City USA. It's time to stand up and defend your family. You have an opportunity to have a super trifecta day tomorrow, to exercise the virtue of patriotism, to live up to the goals and dreams of all those people who came before us, who have fought and died for our country, who have fought and served for our country, who might still be living today, but have given blood, sweat, and tears to preserve our country. It's high time, America. It's high time, San Antonians. We have to get out and vote. I ask you, I implore you, for the sake of your family, for the sake of your spouse, your children, vote against Proposition A. Defend your family. I'm Patrick Von Dole on behalf of the San Antonio Family Association. I welcome you to go and get more information at defendsa.org. Defend SA as in San Antonio. Defendsa.org. Thank you for your time and attention. May God abundantly bless you during this Easter season. And tomorrow, to vote a rightly formed conscience. Adios.